What if the child the world rejected was the one sent to change it? What if a poor widow with nothing but faith raised a boy destined to become a billionaire? Under a dusty bridge in Abuja, a 1-year-old baby was abandoned because people believed he was a witch, a child meant to bring poverty and destruction. But one woman refused to believe the lie. Mama Ngozi chose love over fear, and her decision rewrote history. This is not just a story about wealth. It's a story about destiny, about courage, about how compassion can turn rejection into royalty. If you love powerful African stories filled with inspiration, humor, and unforgettable transformations, you're in the right place. Like this story, subscribe for more life-changing, emotional, and motivational stories that will touch your heart and remind you that greatness can rise from anywhere. The sun was unforgiving that afternoon in Abuja. Mama Ngozi adjusted the tray of akara on her head as she walked past the crowded underpass. Cars honked impatiently. KK riders argued about change. Hawkers shouted prices like auctioneers. Her feet ached, her back hurt, but she kept walking. Since her husband died, survival had become her full-time job. God, even small breakthrough, she murmured under her breath. I no day ask for private jet. Even Okada is fine. Then she heard it. A faint cry. She paused. The cry came again. Thin, weak, desperate. Mama Ngozi frowned. This one no be goat. She slowly stepped toward the darker part under the bridge, where broken blocks and old tires were dumped. The cry grew louder. And then she saw him. A baby boy, barely a year old, wrapped in an old Ankara wrapper, lying on flattened cartons. His tiny face was dusty. His lips trembled from crying too long. One small hand was stretched out, like he was asking the world, why? Mama Ngozi gasped. Jesu! She looked around quickly. No one, no mother hiding, no father returning, no explanation. The baby locked eyes with her and stopped crying. For a second, the world became quiet. Mama Ngozi's heart tightened. Who did this to you? She whispered. The baby blinked. She bent down slowly, her knees cracking in protest. Small boy, you day audition for most dramatic entrance of the year? The baby sniffed. Mama Ngozi picked him up carefully. He was warm, too warm. She checked his body, no visible injuries, but abandonment itself was a wound. She held him close. Don't worry, she said softly. As long as I'm breathing, you are not alone. A KK rider nearby noticed her. Mama Ngozi, that baby no be your ono. She turned sharply. Ehen? You think I'm practicing motherhood? He laughed awkwardly. Maybe police case. She cut him off. If this child stays here 5 more minutes, son will finish him. Police can come and arrest me later. She began walking home with the baby in her arms and Akara still balanced perfectly on her head. Only Mama Ngozi could rescue a child and still not drop her business. The whispers by evening. Her tiny compound in Jikoyi was filled with women. Curiosity spreads faster than Wi-Fi. Mama Ngozi, where you see Who born am? You sure you want Wahala? Mama Esther lowered her voice dramatically. I heard something. Everyone leaned closer. They said a prophet told the parents the boy is a witch. Gasps filled the room. That he will bring poverty, suffering, and eventually kill them. Silence. Mama Ngozi looked down at the baby, now asleep peacefully in her arms. She scoffed. This one, she said, witch? The baby yawned loudly. The women jumped slightly. Mama Ngozi burst into laughter. If he is a witch, then he is the most handsome witch I have ever seen. Some women shook their heads nervously. You better be careful, oh. Mama Ngozi stood up slowly. What poverty again does he want to bring? Double poverty? A few women giggled. She lifted the baby higher. Listen to me. This child is not a curse. Her voice grew stronger. He is a blessing. She looked around boldly. I will name him Savior. The women murmured. He will not destroy lives. He will save them. She pointed upward. And one day, you people will see. This boy will be a billionaire. Among the great men that changed the world for better. Mama Esther whispered. Mama Ngozi, you sure you're not the one seeing vision? Mama Ngozi smiled confidently. You laugh now. But when he buys houses, don't come and say you knew him when. The baby stirred in her arms, almost like agreement. A decision that changed destiny that night. Mama Ngozi placed the baby on her small mattress. The zinc roof rattled as wind passed through. She watched him sleep. I don't know where you came from, she whispered, but God allowed our paths to cross. She placed her hand gently on his chest. From today, you are my son. Outside, the world remained noisy and chaotic, but inside that tiny one-room house, destiny had just been adopted. The child abandoned under the bridge had found a mother, and the first chapter of greatness had begun. Raising Savior was not easy. Mama Ngozi had rescued him with courage, but feeding him required miracles. The next morning, reality knocked hard. She opened her small wooden cupboard. Half cup of gari, little palm oil, 3 onions that looked tired of life. She sighed. Savior, my son, she said, tying him to her back with wrapper. Today we are fasting by force. The baby giggled. Don't laugh. You don't know economy. The struggle begins. Word had spread around Jikwoyi that Mama Ngozi adopted a witch child. Some customers stopped buying her akara. One woman whispered loudly at the junction, that baby will bring bad luck. Mama Ngozi overheard and faced her directly. If he brings bad luck, why is your husband still around? The junction exploded with laughter. The woman hissed and walked away. Mama Ngozi resumed frying akara confidently. Savior sat beside her in a small plastic chair, clapping whenever someone bought. God bless you, he would shout in baby language. Customers laughed and bought extra. One man said jokingly, this boy has marketing spirit. Mama Ngozi smiled proudly. You are looking at future CEO. First signs of greatness. At age 4, Savior began asking questions that made adults uncomfortable. Mama, why are rich houses tall? So breeze can reach them, she replied casually. Then why don't we build tall house? She blinked. Because breeze does not accept gari as payment. He nodded thoughtfully. At 5, he dismantled a broken radio in the compound. Mama Ngozi nearly fainted. Ah, that radio still works small. I want to see how voice enters, he said seriously. Instead of scolding him, she watched. He fixed it back. It worked better. Mama Ngozi stared. Are you sure you are not engineer that missed road? He grinned. The mockery. Not everyone believed in him. In primary school, some children mocked him. Bridge boy, they shouted. Which boy? He came home one day unusually quiet. Mama Ngozi noticed. Who offended my billionaire today? He hesitated. They said I bring poverty. Mama Ngozi dropped her spoon. She knelt in front of him. Look at me. He raised his eyes. You were abandoned under a bridge because of ignorance. But listen carefully. She tapped his chest gently. Your destiny is louder than their insults. He swallowed. You will not bring poverty. You will remove it. Her voice grew firm. And one day those same people will use your Wi-Fi. He laughed through tears. Sacrifice. School fees became harder as he grew older. Mama Ngozi began washing clothes for 3 different houses in Abuja. Her hands cracked from detergent. Her back ached constantly. One evening, Savior saw her counting crumpled notes. Mama, are we broke? She exhaled dramatically. We are not broke. We are temporarily financially embarrassed. He frowned. I will help. You will help by reading your books. He nodded. That night, he studied under a kerosene lamp. While other children played outside, Savior read. While others slept, he practiced mathematics. While the world doubted him, he prepared. A moment of hope. In primary 6, Savior won a state scholarship competition. First place. The prize covered his secondary school fees. When the principal announced his name, the hall fell silent. Isn't that the bridge boy? Someone whispered. Mama Ngozi stood up proudly from the back row. That is my son. When they handed him the certificate, he ran straight to her. We did it, Mama. No, she whispered. You did it. He shook his head. If you didn't carry me that day. She covered his mouth gently. Don't finish that sentence. I only carried what heaven dropped. Declaration. That evening, Mama Ngozi cooked rice. Real rice, not ceremonial rice. She placed the plate before him like it was a trophy. My son, she said. Yes, Mama? One day you will sit in houses with marble floors and glass walls. He looked confused. What is marble? Very expensive floor. He smiled. Okay. And when that day comes, she continued, don't forget this zinc roof.
He became serious. I will never forget. Outside, rain began to fall, drumming against their small home.
But inside that fragile house, something powerful was growing. Not just a boy, a vision. Poverty had tried to define him, but Mama Ngozi had already rewritten the script. Secondary school changed everything. Savior was no longer the tiny boy tied to Mama Ngozi's back. He had grown taller, sharper, and quieter, the kind of quiet that hides dangerous ambition. But poverty still followed them like an unpaid debt. Their zinc roof still leaked. Their mattress still complained louder than Mama Ngozi's knees. And electricity still behaved like a visitor without manners. One night, as rain poured heavily in Abuja, water began dripping directly onto Savior's notebook. "Mama!" he shouted. Mama Ngozi rushed in with a bucket. "Shift your book! This rain is jealous of your education!" They both laughed as they rearranged things. But later that night, while Mama Ngozi slept, Savior lay awake staring at the roof. He whispered to himself, "One day, I will build you a house rain cannot insult." Discovering his gift. In SS1, Savior discovered computers. The school had only 3 old desktops that sounded like generators when powered on. The first time he touched a keyboard, his eyes widened. "So this thing connects people worldwide?" "Yes," the teacher replied. "If there is internet. And if there is no internet, then you pray." He smiled. He learned fast. Coding fascinated him. He stayed after school to practice. When others rushed home, he begged teachers for extra time. One afternoon, the ICT teacher called him aside. "Savior, you have something special." He tilted his head. "Like what?" "Vision." Savior thought about that word all the way home. Vision. He liked how it sounded. The side hustle. At 16, he began repairing phones in the neighborhood. Not perfectly, but enough. Mama Ngozi came home one day and saw 3 young men sitting outside their house. "What is happening here? Political meeting?" One of them replied, "We came to fix phone." Mama Ngozi frowned. "Who is fixing?" They pointed inside. She walked in and saw Savior carefully handling a phone. Her eyes widened. "You have entered business without telling CEO?" He grinned. "Mama, small money to support." She folded her arms dramatically. So now I will retire?" "Not yet," he said quickly. She laughed. Within months he was earning small but steady income. He used part of it to buy books and save the rest. When Mama Ngozi tried to reject the money he gave her, he insisted. "Investment, Mama." She looked confused. "In what?" "In our future. The big dream." One evening while they sat outside watching the sunset, Savior spoke boldly. "Mama." "Yes, my billionaire. I will build a company." "Okay, not small company. Okay, a big one. Technology. Something that solves transport and delivery problems in Nigeria." Mama Ngozi blinked. "Is it food delivery? Because I'll support that." He laughed. "Bigger than that." She nodded slowly like she understood, even though she didn't fully. "As long as it will buy me good mattress." University breakthrough. Savior gained admission into a federal university in Lagos to study computer engineering. Leaving Mama Ngozi was the hardest part. At the motor park, she held his face. "Listen carefully." He nodded. "Don't follow bad friends." "Yes, Mama." "Don't forget to pray." "Yes, Mama." "And don't marry secretly." "Mama!" She laughed loudly. As the bus drove away, she wiped her eyes quietly. "My bridge boy," she whispered. "Go and conquer." Building from nothing. University life was tough. Savior slept in crowded hostels. Sometimes he skipped meals. Sometimes he repaired classmates' laptops to survive. But he also built. In his final year, he created a logistics app prototype, a system that connected small businesses to reliable delivery riders. Most people ignored him. "Who will use this?" one classmate mocked. Savior shrugged. One day, everybody. After graduation, he returned to Abuja and pitched the idea to investors. Rejections came like rainfall. "We're not interested. Too risky. You're too young. One investor even laughed. You, billionaire? Savior smiled calmly. Yes. The man stopped laughing. Confidence. Not confidence, Savior replied. Conviction. The turning point. After dozens of rejections, one small investor decided to take a chance. The funding was modest, but it was enough. Savior launched the company from a tiny rented office. Plastic chairs, second-hand laptops, big dreams. He worked day and night, sometimes sleeping on the office floor, sometimes forgetting to eat. Mama Ngozi visited once. She looked around at the cramped office. This is the head office? For now, he said. She nodded seriously. Okay, when you move to big glass building, I will sit at reception and be greeting people. He laughed. Deal. She placed her hand on his head. I told you under that bridge, you will save people. He looked into her eyes. And I will start with you. Outside, traffic roared through Abuja. Inside that tiny office, something unstoppable was forming. Not just a company, a revolution. The boy abandoned under a bridge was building bridges for others to cross, and the world was about to notice. The first year of Savior's company was pure struggle. His logistics startup operated from a cramped office in Abuja with flickering light, unstable internet, and chairs that complained louder than the staff. Some days, only 3 delivery requests came in. Other days, riders didn't show up. Once, their only office fan stopped working in the middle of April heat. One staff member whispered, "Maybe the village people have located us." Savior wiped sweat from his forehead. If village people are involved, tell them to invest. The team burst into laughter. But behind the jokes, pressure was building. Investors were impatient. Competitors were rising. Bills were multiplying. And doubt knocked at his heart sometimes. The night of decision. One evening, after everyone had left, Savior sat alone in the office. He stared at the company logo on the wall. He remembered the bridge, the dust, the abandonment, the whispers of "which." He clenched his jaw. I did not survive that to fail here. His phone rang. It was Mama Ngozi. My billionaire, have you eaten? He smiled softly. Yes, Mama. Don't lie. Your voice is hungry. He laughed. Mama, business is hard. She became serious. Was it easy under the bridge? Silence. No. Was it easy in Zinc House? No. She cleared her throat. Then why are you surprised this one is hard? Destiny does not use soft pillow. He chuckled. Thank you, Mama. Good. Now go and become global. She hung up. Savior looked at the ceiling. Global, he whispered. That night, he redesigned the app completely. He added real-time tracking, improved security features, partnered with small e-commerce vendors, created incentives for reliable riders. He didn't sleep. Breakthrough. 3 months later, everything changed. A major retail chain in Lagos needed a fast and reliable logistics partner. Bigger companies had failed them repeatedly. Someone mentioned Savior's startup. It was a risk, but they gave him a trial contract. His team worked like soldiers. No delays, no excuses, no complaints. Within 6 months, delivery numbers exploded. Investors who once rejected him started calling. Let's talk. We're interested. We always believed in you. Savior laughed privately, believed from a distance. Funding came in millions, then tens of millions. Expansion moved beyond Nigeria into other African countries. The small plastic chairs were replaced with ergonomic executive seats. The flickering light was replaced with smart LED systems. And soon, Savior became one of Africa's youngest billionaires. The mansion. He bought a modern luxury mansion in Lagos. The interior looked like something out of an international design magazine. Marble floors that reflected light like mirrors. A floating staircase with glass railings. Automated curtains that opened with voice command. Crystal chandeliers suspended from a double-height ceiling. Cream and gold aesthetic with minimalist decor. Indoor waterfall feature beside the living area. A smart kitchen with touchscreen panels. A home theater larger than his entire childhood house. When Mama Ngozi visited for the first time, she stood frozen at the entrance. Savior? Yes, Mama? Is this airport? He laughed. No, Mama. It's home. She stepped inside cautiously. The motion sensor lights turned on automatically. She jumped back. Ha! It knows I entered. It's technology, Mama. In my house, even Lizard does not know when I enter. He led her to the living room. She touched the marble floor. Careful, he teased. You might see your future in it. She sat gently on the leather sofa. It sank slightly. She gasped, I am going down. He laughed loudly. It's soft, Mama. She looked around in awe. Under the bridge, mosquitoes were greeting us. Now Chandelier is greeting me. They both burst into laughter. Full circle. That evening, Savior organized a grand dinner in her honor. Business leaders, government officials, celebrities, all gathered under the golden glow of luxury lighting. During his speech, Savior stood tall in a tailored black suit. My life began under a bridge, he said calmly. The room went silent. I was abandoned because people believed I would bring poverty. He paused. But one woman chose love instead of fear. He looked at Mama Ngozi seated proudly in the front row, dressed in elegant lace. She named me Savior. She said I would save people. She said I would be a billionaire. He smiled. Today I stand here because she believed before I had proof. The crowd rose in applause. Mama Ngozi wiped tears dramatically. Later she whispered to him, You see, I told you. He hugged her gently. You did. More than wealth. But Savior did not stop at success. He built the Savior Foundation, focused on rescuing abandoned children and fighting harmful superstitions. He funded schools, provided scholarships, created widow empowerment programs, and in a powerful move, he built a modern shelter home under the same bridge in Abuja where he had been found. The sign read, From Rejection to Royalty. When Mama Ngozi saw it, she smiled deeply. Bridge boy, she said softly. He corrected her playfully. Billionaire bridge boy. She laughed. Yes, and don't forget who carried you first. He bowed slightly. Never. The boy once called a curse had become a blessing to thousands. The widow once mocked had become mother of a billionaire. And the bridge that witnessed abandonment now witnessed restoration. Destiny had spoken, and this time, the world listened. Savior's rise from abandoned baby to billionaire had been extraordinary. But for him, wealth was never the end. It was the means. Every decision he made reflected the prophecy Mama Ngozi had spoken years ago. He will save people instead of destroying them. One sunny afternoon, Mama Ngozi visited Savior's Lagos mansion again. This time, it felt more like a home than an office or a museum. Mama, sit here, Savior said, pointing to a cream leather sofa. She sat cautiously. This one too soft also. Last time I almost sank to China. He laughed. Mama, you are safe now. The sofa won't swallow you. Mama Ngozi looked around at the sparkling interior, the crystal chandeliers, the indoor waterfall, the marble floors, and the minimalist decor. She picked up a remote and clicked it. The curtains closed automatically. Dem sabi me finish, she exclaimed. Even curtain day respect me. Savior chuckled. Mama, you have arrived. He handed her a cup of tea. She sipped it carefully, wrinkling her nose. Hot like wahala. But fine, nah. Savior smiled. Everything here is for comfort, Mama. But the heart of this house is you. Mama Ngozi's eyes watered. Ah, my child, God did not lie when he led you to me. Empowering others, Savior knew his responsibility went beyond his mother. The world needed solutions, especially for the vulnerable. He expanded the Savior Foundation, creating programs to help abandoned children, widows, and struggling small business owners. In one project, a center under the same bridge in Abuja, the place where he was found, was transformed into a state-of-the-art shelter and learning facility. On the opening day, Savior spoke to a crowd of children and community members. When I was your age, I was abandoned. Some people called me a curse, but one woman showed me love. She gave me hope, and today I am here to give you hope. Remember, your beginning does not define your ending. Tears flowed freely in the crowd. Mama Ngozi held his hand tightly. You see, Mama, Savior whispered, we are changing lives together. The personal touch. Despite his busy schedule, Savior never let success change his bond with Mama Ngozi. One evening, they sat together watching television in the mansion's private cinema. Mama, you want popcorn? He asked, grinning. Yes, so. Makey sweeto. He handed her a bowl. She tasted it and frowned playfully. Who seasoned this popcorn? Too much sugar. Savior laughed. Mama, you spoil my chef. She shook her head. Nah, small thing. I like 'em. But see, when I day laugh like this, I forget say I am mother of billionaire. He put his arm around her. You are the reason I became a billionaire, Mama. Without you, I'd still be a boy under a bridge. Mama Ngozi smiled, teasing. So you now day humble for houseway money day dance everywhere? He chuckled. Humble forever, Mama. Money no change heart. Savior's company grew beyond Nigeria. Tech solutions reached East and West Africa, transforming logistics, supporting small businesses, and creating thousands of jobs. His story inspired millions on social media. A boy abandoned under a bridge became a man who changed lives. He also funded education programs for underprivileged children and campaigns to end harmful superstitions that led to child abandonment. He often reminded his team, profit is important, but purpose is everything. One evening, under the soft glow of the mansion's chandeliers, Mama Ngozi and Savior stood by the indoor waterfall. Mama, he said softly, do you remember what you told me? She smiled. I said you will save people and not destroy. I said you will be a billionaire. I said you will be among the great men who changed the world. Savior held her hands. All of that came true. But more than wealth, I am saving lives. And that started with you. Mama Ngozi wiped tears. God bless you, my child. You turned a bridge into a kingdom and poverty into hope. You really are my savior. He smiled, looking out at the city lights. Mama, this is just the beginning. There are more bridges to fix, more lives to save, more people to lift. Together, we will make the world better. And in that moment, the billionaire wasn't just a man of wealth. He was a man of purpose, love, and destiny fulfilled. Sometimes, the ones the world rejects carry the greatest purpose. Love, faith, and determination can transform lives, communities, and even nations. One act of compassion, like Mama Ngozi picking up a baby under a bridge, can change the course of history. Savior didn't just become a billionaire. He became a symbol of hope. And Mama Ngozi, she proved that love can rewrite destiny. If you want more inspiring Nigerian stories that touch the heart, uplift the soul, and make you believe in miracles, like this story, and subscribe for more. If you want, I can also create a suspenseful teaser for the next story, in the same style, encouraging viewers to like and subscribe. Something perfect for YouTube storytelling.